This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
And welcome in, folks, to another edition of Open Mic Night. I'm your host, Notes Lukey. And on today's episode, the Lions losing to the Rams 28-19, but they battle along the way. I'll break down the game and answer some tough questions that some of you fans might have out there that I've been hearing about the last couple days with how do we treat this 0-7 football team. We'll break that down for you later on. Also, the big game, Michigan and Michigan State on Saturday, a game that I've been looking forward to since the beginning of the college football season. I'll break that down for you and give you a couple keys to how both teams can possibly win or even lose. So that should be a very exciting way to end the podcast a little bit later on, but hopefully everybody had a great weekend out there. I definitely did, and it was a lot of fun being able to meet a lot of different people. John Carroll had a road game, so I was able to do some other things, and really nice weekend out here in Cleveland for sure. All right, so I want to dive into the Matthew Stafford Rams and instead of the Los Angeles Rams, the Stafford Rams versus your Detroit Lions, 28-19 loss that the Lions had in Inglewood. By the way, my cousin, I want to shout out to my cousin Adam. He was actually at the game. He lives in Lakewood, which is a suburb of Los Angeles. He's lived out there for 20 years. He actually he was at the game. And he was giving me a little bit of a report from the stadium and talking about how beautiful the new stadium is down there in Inglewood. I mean, this is a multi-billion-dollar stadium over there, and just how beautiful it was, and just the big scoreboard and all that. So I want to give a shout out to Adam, and I know he listens from time to time on the podcast, and he's lived out there for 20 years. He goes to all the West Coast Lions games. I know maybe 5 or 6 years ago they played the Chargers out in San Diego when they were in San Diego. He was at that game. A couple years ago, Lions played the Niners. He went to that game up the 5-hour drive on Highway 1 up to San Francisco. And I know he loves cheering on the Lions anytime they come to California where he lives. So, and really happy that he was able to go to that game for sure. Also, fun fact about my cousin Adam: he actually took a class with Tom Brady. He graduated in 2000, just like Tom Brady did at the University of Michigan, and he had some sort of psychology class with him or something like that. So he was sitting in the back, but he had a class with him. So fun fact about my cousin Adam, that's for sure. All right, 28-19, and I gotta say, very different than the Bengals game in terms of the fight. Lions didn't seem like they had any fight in the game against the Bengals. They just trampled all over them. This game, I felt a little more confident about the defense and how aggressive we were. Lions, so they get the football to begin the game. They score on I think it was a 63-yard touchdown pass on a screen from Goff to DeAndre Swift. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, the Lions have a little bit of momentum. Turn the TV on, after commercial break, thinking, all right, we're going to give the Rams the football back. Nope. Onside kick. Completely fooling the Rams off guard. I was going crazy when I saw that because I'm like, yes, finally the Lions are doing something that goes against the script, against the grain. They're trying to beat this team any way they possibly can. In order to beat these good teams, you got to think of stuff. You got to think of creative things. And the Lions had the onside kick, and I'm like, yes, finally, some creativity. Of course, they couldn't get a touchdown. They stalled on the drive. They ended up kicking the field goal to go up 10-0. But overall, I thought, wow, there we go. We need something. Then what was even crazier was on that drive, because of course the offense hasn't done anything, and we'll get to the offense a little bit later, but they faked the punt. Jack Fox back deep to punt. He throws it, 17-yard completion, first down Lions. Back-to-back, basically, special teams plays. They fool the Rams, and I'm like, oh my gosh, the Lions. Where was this all year? Of course, this kicked the field goal, but then, I mean, and then the defense started playing well. I mean, in the next, Los Angeles' first drive, they held Stafford and the Rams to just 3 points, held them to a field goal. And, I could tell the defense had a little bit of juice in them. They were, all you people out there, said it was going to be a blowout. What did I say on the podcast last week? I knew this was going to be a close game. You know why? Because Stafford knows the Lions. Lions know Stafford. It'll be a chess match. Did I expect us to win? No. I didn't expect us to win. But I knew it'd be close. And look, less than 10 points. I'd consider that close. Now, do the Rams have way more talent than the Lions do? Of course. Do the Lions have any talent related to the Rams? Anybody even close to what the Rams have? No. Do the Lions have a Cooper Kupp that goes off for 150 yards and 3 touchdowns? Pretty much every week, it seems? No. Do they have a running game? They didn't really run the football that well, again. I will say, though, DeAndre Swift, 96 yards receiving in that 63-yard touchdown. I think you could tell Swift has some talent, no doubt. I think Swift is a very valuable piece for the future of this team, especially if they can get, that offensive line, get a little bit more push, have a defense that responds. I think Swift is very valuable for the future for sure. Khalif Raymond even had a nice game, 6 receptions, 115 yards. And look, is Khalif? I've talked about Khalif on the podcast before. Is he some all-pro receiver? No. Is he a guy that the Lions are trying to work in and has had a really good training camp and all that? Yeah, of course. But as our good friend of the program Matt Derry said on his podcast, there's a difference between being really good and being Lions good. I think Khalif Raymond is just Lions good. I think that's a good example of that. Because on any other team, I don't think Khalif Raymond would be putting up these numbers. Because that's all they have. Amon-Ra St. Brown, not a single catch. Kadero Hodge, only 1 catch for 3 yards. TJ Hawkinson, 9 targets, 6 receptions, 48 yards. How about that? So I keep telling people we got to target TJ 10 or more times a game. And a lot of the passes that they threw to him were just these short little completions. Nothing trying to push TJ down the field. It just seemed like a lot of safety option passes. But you know what? Goff can't do it. Goff can't push his team down the field. It's still, look, I told you guys last week, I'm over the Goff experiment. I am. But you just think this guy's made a couple Pro Bowls. He's been to a Super Bowl. I mean, you think that this guy would be able to push his team down the field, sometimes. On some drives, at least. It just seems like he can't get it done. And it just makes me mad, because it's like, is this what we really traded for? I want to see the Pro Bowl Jared Goff. The Goff that threw for something like 32 touchdowns and only 7 picks just a few years ago. That's the Goff I want to see. Now, is he the future of the Lions? No. I keep saying he's a bridge quarterback to from when Stafford left until when they ever draft a quarterback next. And it better not be this year. It better not be. This is one of the weakest classes we've seen in a long time. I know we need an upgrade at quarterback and all that. No. I'm not picking a quarterback. You need a guy where there's no question marks about. A guy that is a franchise quarterback. Not a guy who's a developmental guy. A guy with a bunch of question marks and more risks than reward. They need a can't-miss guy. Especially for this team. And especially for building the future. It's not happening this year. Are we going to bench Jared Goff for David Blau? No. David Blau is, like I mentioned last week, probably the worst backup quarterback in the NFL. A couple of Jared Goff throws that really I just didn't understand, particularly the throw on the last drive where it was intercepted in the end zone by Jalen Ramsey, Jalen Ramsey, by the way, had a heck of a game on defense for the Rams. And, because if they would have scored on that, they would have gone up by 1 and forced Matthew Stafford to move the ball down the field, which that would have been interesting if that would have happened, because that could have been deja vu when all those fourth quarter comebacks. I was texting my buddy about this actually during the game. All those fourth quarter comebacks that Stafford had with the Lions, he would have had one against the Rams, or as a Ram against the Lions. But Jalen Ramsey silenced any of that, picked it off. I mean, I know he was hit hard by Aaron Donald on the play, but you just can't throw the ball into that window. Too tight of a window, especially for a quarterback like Jared Goff. If you're Brett Favre, if you're Tom Brady trying to throw it in there, yeah, but Jared Goff isn't Tom Brady or Brett Favre. So way too risky. I know Mark Sanchez talked about the spacing on the play or whatever, but you just can't throw that. I know he got drilled, which, by the way, speaking of Aaron Donald, I thought the line did a good job of neutralizing him throughout the game for the most part, because he didn't really do a whole lot of damage. How about Penei Sewell getting in his face too? Ooh, I was getting a little goosebumps there. Basically, Sewell was saying, I'm not backing down from you. I like the toughness, the attitude that he's bringing. Yeah, has he struggled the last couple games? Yeah. I didn't think he played too bad in this game, though. Good that they neutralized Donald and made other guys beat the Lions instead of him. I think that was a good job on the Lions' part, especially offensively for sure. Well, and speaking of Mark Sanchez, I brought him up from earlier. He this whole thing with him talking about Stafford finding a new home and he's finally accepted in LA. I get how Mark Sanchez is from LA. It seemed like he was siding with the Rams big time in this game. But, I mean, Mark, I got to say, look, I respect you as a man, but you can't be saying that stuff. You got to do your research. 12 seasons Matthew Stafford stayed in Detroit, 12. Signed multiple different contracts. He could have left earlier, but he didn't. He was loyal. He wanted to stay. He just realized that it was time last offseason for both parties. It was best for both parties to move on. So, I'm sick of this Stafford stuff with he's finally rejuvenated. He finally found a new home. No. And I was cheering for Stafford. I wanted Stafford to play well. I did. You got to remember, you guys have listened to this podcast long enough. Stafford's like my hero. He was like my childhood hero. So it's kind of like what Verlander is. I want Verlander to do really well with the Astros because he's my hero, my childhood hero. Stafford's kind of the same thing. I really want him to do well in LA. Did I want the Lions to win? Of course. Did I expect them to win? No. But Stafford played a whale of a football game. 334 yards and 3 touchdowns. 2 to Cooper Kupp. That was a nice ball he threw to Van Jefferson too. He was picking on Jerry Jacobs during the game, the rookie corner. He's a guy he's been one of the Lions' better cornerbacks this season. Now, is he Lions good? Probably. I don't know if this guy would be making it on any other team, but the rookie from Arkansas has done a decent job this year. But yes, he was picking on Jerry Jacobs during the game. I think he knew there was that rookie cornerback out there. We can get a mismatch. And they definitely did, especially on that Van Jefferson throw in the end zone for sure. But overall, at least the Lions fought. They didn't lay down. They were in it the entire game, except a little bit at the end. But just the offense needs to continue to make plays, and they're just not making enough. And Philadelphia on Sunday at home, they're honoring Chris Spielman at halftime. He's going to be inducted into the Lions Ring of Honor. I think it's time that the Lions, it's go time. A week before the bye, got a tough schedule in November. This is a time to get the win. Get this 0-17 talk out of the way. I'm sick of hearing 0-17. This is not an 0-17 team. They're better than that. I think they can beat the Eagles this weekend. The Eagles are a mess. A train wreck. By the way, their head coach, Nick Sirianni, he's a Mount Union grad. And you know how much we don't like Mount Union at John Carroll, if you guys listened to this podcast before. So I am not cheering for Mount Union and Nick Sirianni this weekend. I'm 100% cheering for the Lions. And Lions have to win. 2-5 Eagles look like a mess. And I think this is the week the Lions do it too. You know, I know the Bengals game was a fluke, but the last couple games, I mean, they've been fighting. You know, and something has to break. When you're that close, something has to break eventually. And I think this is going to be the game where it breaks. It's at home, in front of the home crowd, which, by the way, 50,000 people are showing up. Attendance is like very, very low right now. It's like the bottom 5 in the league or something like that. But I can understand why you guys don't want to go anymore. I mean, it's not like it's not like this is anything new. I mean, you guys have seen this before. 0-7. Hopefully 1-7. Hopefully the whoever goes on Sunday will be able to see a victory. So overall, though, like I said, I think this is the week. It'd be great to get a win before the bye, especially so that after that, then they can, because remember, I was thinking about this. 2015, the Lions went 1-7 to begin the year. They ended up going 7-9. So, a turnaround is not out of the question. I mean, did the Lions have a way better team in 2015 than they do now? Yes, of course. But hey, let's not I can't even say this with a straight face. Let's consider the positives here with the comeback, I guess. 7-9, 2015. Now, is that anything spectacular? No. But hey, at least it would be a positive. That's all I'm saying. So hopefully the second half of the season they can turn around, but a win against the Eagles would definitely help. That's for sure. All right, I want to transition now. Enough with the Lions. I want to transition to Michigan and Michigan State, the game of the decade so far. Remember last year, Michigan State for the Paul Bunyan Trophy. Last year, Michigan was 23-point favorites against Michigan State, and they lost. Remember that? That was a big statement win to begin the Mel Tucker era. And by the way, a lot of these rumors circulating about Mel Tucker leaving Michigan State and taking the LSU job or taking the USC job. By the way, I don't buy any of that. That's for a different episode though. I want to focus on Michigan and Michigan State right now. How about this? A couple of things I found interesting about this game. So Jim Harbaugh has never lost at Spartan Stadium as a player or a coach, but he's never beaten a top 15 team on the road. So that's interesting. Never lost at Spartan Stadium as a player or coach. He's never beaten a top 15 team on the road. Interesting. Also, the program, so Michigan, hasn't won a road game against a top 15 team since they beat number 2 Notre Dame, Brady Quinn, in 2006. So, just from that standpoint, Michigan State definitely has the advantage. However, I want to get into a little bit of the breakdown of the game. I don't want to go with all these numbers and all that, but just a little bit of things to know. So obviously, I've been talking about it all year. I think he's really been the X factor for Michigan this year on the coaching staff. It's Mike Macdonald, the new defensive coordinator. He was the former linebacker coach for the Baltimore Ravens. He's got Michigan as the number 2 defense in the nation in scoring defense. They're just giving up just over 14 points a game. I will say this, in modern college football, I think that's pretty impressive. Now, has Michigan played, the top teams in the country? No. I mean, I'll tell you who they played. Western Michigan, Washington, Northern Illinois, Rutgers, Wisconsin, Nebraska, and Northwestern. Not a single ranked opponent. Michigan State is their first. Defensively, I mean, they've been lights out. No question about it. I mean, Aiden Hutchinson, supposed to be a first-round pick in the draft. They have multiple other guys that have been playing well. Josh Ross at his middle linebacker position, and I could go on and on. This is the key, though, to this game, I think. If you want to elevate yourself, Michigan, if you want to elevate yourself into the conversation of a Big Ten championship, of a spot in the college football playoff, it all starts with one position, the quarterback position. And who do you have at quarterback, Michigan? Cade McNamara, who's thrown 5 touchdown passes this season. 5. That's it. 5. I don't know if that's going to get it done. Now, has Cade played well at times this season? Yes. 255 yards against Nebraska, just under 200 against Wisconsin. No turnovers in that game. But I just need a very consistent Cade McNamara. It's too inconsistent. Some games he looks efficient, other games he doesn't. Do any of the receiving threats for Michigan scare me? Not really. Cornelius Johnson, just under 300 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns. Dalen Baldwin, 219 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, these guys don't scare me. Now, the rushing game is a different story. Hassan Haskins, 600 yards. Blake Corum, just over 700. Both have 10 touchdowns. Don't get me wrong. Michigan definitely has a good running game. But, like I said, it all starts with quarterback play. Mel Tucker. He's a defensive coach. He's just going to start loading that box and daring Michigan to throw that football. So he's going to load that box and say, look, you could try to run, but you're not going to run. We're going to dare you to throw. I think Michigan State is going to see if Cade Cunningham can win this game. And they're going to pressure Cade Cunningham into winning that game for Michigan. I just don't know if Cade McNamara can step up. If he does, Michigan wins the game, I think. But if he doesn't, it's going to be a long, long day in East Lansing. That's for sure. All right, a little bit more with Michigan State. Obviously, 7-0, undefeated. Northwestern, Youngstown State, Miami, which was a ranked win. Miami is not ranked anymore, though. That's kind of a fluky ranked win. In Miami, though, on the road. I'll give them that. Overtime win against Nebraska. Beat Western Kentucky. Beat Rutgers, and just beat Indiana 2 weeks ago, 20-15. At Indiana. But I will say, I think Peyton Thorne is a better and more efficient quarterback than Cade McNamara is. 15 touchdowns, 4 picks. I think Michigan State's skill receivers are a lot more scarier than Michigan's. You look at guys like Jalen Reed, Jalen Naylor, the Jalens. Both have over 500 yards receiving and over 5 touchdowns. I think these guys are speedy, and they're really dangerous in the return game too. So if you're looking to win the game on that, look out for the returns. Those guys are quick. And then obviously, what can I say more about Kenneth Walker III? This guy is a Heisman Trophy candidate. One of the best running backs in the country this year. 997 yards, 9 touchdowns, averaging 6.6 yards a carry, 142 yards a game. If Michigan State can establish the run, get after this Michigan defense, let the skill guys burn Michigan down deep, I don't see why Michigan State can't win. It's at Spartan Stadium on Halloween. Crowd will be going crazy. I really believe that Michigan State pulls this out. I do. Also, something to mention, Michigan State, they've run some sort of flea flicker during every game this season. So that kind of proves that they do get a little tricky offensively. So if I'm Michigan, I would definitely be watching for any trick plays or anything to try to catch them off guard. Because this could be a chess match. It could be one of those very close, 21-20, 21-17 kind of games. I think it's going to be a very, very good game. Now, am I predicting, the last play of the game be a low snap and, Jalen Reeves Maven, or I'm sorry, he's on the Lions. Jalen Reeves Maven. Jalen Watts Jackson rumbles into the end zone. No, I'm not predicting any of that, but I think this is, like I said, I think this is going to be a game for the ages. At least just from a chess match perspective. But I think Michigan State wins. Now, but if Cade McNamara throws for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns or whatever, Michigan wins. But I think it's just going to be too much for Michigan to come in there against MSU. MSU crowd will be rocking. Noon start. I just don't see it. I see Michigan State going 8-0. Mel Tucker taking his team above. But, for Michigan, it's go time, because if you want to be up in the upper levels of college football, you're going to have to win this game. And it starts by winning this game. I just see Michigan State winning. So we'll see. It should be great. 12 noon in East Lansing. I'll be definitely trying to watch the game because we have a lot of stuff going on with our senior day and our football game at John Carroll. I'll be on the broadcast for that, but I'll definitely try to take a peek at it, no doubt, for sure. Make sure to check out all of the amazing content on the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. I know John Macaroon does a great job with all of his podcasts, with the wrestling podcast, Doc and Jock, Adam the Jock Strozinski, and of course the Fan Report. The Michigan podcast had a great episode this week with Steve Dace. Check that out as well. The Practice Squad podcast, really funny. And of course, John Macaroon's great Lions talk on SI Lions. So a lot of great content, and I really enjoy it. This was the 69th episode that I've recorded for John and the podcast network, and I've enjoyed all 69 episodes for sure. It's really been a privilege, and just getting all those guests on, getting different insights into different sports here in Detroit, particularly Lions right now, but definitely hoping to get some more on this in the next couple months, and really, really looking forward to it, especially with a college basketball season just around the corner. I actually got to meet Clark Kellogg just a couple days ago. He stopped by John Carroll, and a really nice man. He's one of my favorite college basketball analysts as well, but we'll definitely be doing some college basketball talk later on, because you know me, I love the Michigan State Spartans when it comes to college basketball and Coach Tom Izzo, that's for sure. But thanks again, folks, for tuning in. Sparty on! And make sure to tune in next week, only on Open Mic Night.